Right, so our final checks before we take off. So we've done our help zips and we've done our plasma PCB. Now, these are only part of your pre-flight checks. The final bits before you actually get in the air, the bits before you actually take off. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to turn on the remote control to your aircraft, okay? Because typically it's always the remote control first. The only aircraft that I'm aware of that's different is the Intel, oh smokes, and now I forget its name. It'll come to me. No, it won't, you know. The Intel Falcon, that's it, the Falcon 8. As I understand it, that's payload first, then the aircraft, and then the remote. Could be wrong, but for most DJI things, remote control first is what you're going to do, switch this on. We're then going to switch on the aircraft. Okay, now I put it onto the takeoff landing zone. Now, for me at this point, I've done all my checks. We've given the aircraft the once over, which may be different because different aircraft, you may have a checklist because all aircraft are subtly different. So power the remote on first. You're going to power up the aircraft, put it on the takeoff landing zone. Now during this time, give yourself a minute. Okay, now I do not fire up the DJI apps straight away. Okay, I don't even connect it to this device yet. Okay, I'm letting the aircraft do all its checks. I found that if I jump straight to the DJI apps, it can take a bit longer and it will show up lots of niggles and people will start panicking about, oh no, it's doing the IMU, it's doing... Just let it sit there for a minute and let it do its thing. Okay, it's not hard to do, it just needs 60 seconds to start getting the information. Then what I do is I will then connect the device that I'm using, be it my iPad, be it my phone. I'll connect it up, launch the app I want, and I will then see how the aircraft's going. And in that time, the compass will have sorted itself out. Hopefully you've got your GPS, satellites are starting to lock in, and it's saying good to fly. And that's what you need to then go through. You're just going to go through quickly through your screens, and you're just going to go, right, GPS is good, yes. Battery percentage, yes, that's good. SD card format at this point before you take off is my advice. Although if it's third flight of the day, you might not want to do that. So first flight of the day, I would actually just hit format SD card. I wouldn't do it on the third flight or the second flight because then it's just a bad day, especially if you're doing commercial work. Trust me, it'll go sideways very quickly for you. So like I say, put it down for 60 seconds, let it do its checks. Now, you're ready to take off. Okay, we're happy. You're ready to take off. What are the final checks to do? Well, the final check to do is have a quick look around, a full 360. You're just going to check everything around you, and what you're checking for is that no uninvolved people have suddenly encroached the area where you can take off and land from, and you want to be checking for airspace. Just quick glance around. You will have done all your airspace checks before you arrived on site, and it would have been in the hazard section for help zips. Okay, it is a hazard, airspace is a hazard. You do your checks, or you do your checks before you even get on site. Okay, on the time before you take off, I would actually get out and that's drone assist while my aircraft is powering up maybe, or even before then I would have got out and that's drone assist and I would have a double check on location. I do double checks. So I get my phone out, just go that's drone assist, hit the location where I am, it locates me, I'm inside an FRZ, no I'm not, I don't need to call anyone, that's great. There's no NOTAM saying I cannot fly. In that case then, I'm ready to go. You put your phone away again, like I say, you do your final checks for the airspace, uninvolved people, you're clear to go, look around, you call taking off. You will then take off. You will climb to whatever height you want to fly at, or you take off at an angle. Learning to take off at a 45-degree angle is always good. It's great for emergencies coming back down. But you're going to take off, go do your flight, okay? And when you're doing your flight, don't always stand and look at your screen, because if you're doing this all the time, that's not how it works. You've got to look up at your aircraft, or you have a spotter with you, They are watching the aircraft, and then you can fly via your screen or a headset or whatever. Even with the A2CFC, you can FPV fly with a spotter stood next to you. You just need them with you to be able to put that hand on your back gently, not punch you, not shout at you, because you don't want that. All you need them to do is just like say, look, there's a low flying helicopter coming from the left. They put their hand just on your shoulders to let you know, just not to spook you all of a sudden. Just point, they point in the direction of that incoming aircraft. So you can look up, you can see where it is. You know, they can then point to your aircraft and say, look, you're over there, it's coming across your path, get lower. You know, and when people say get lower, basically lower than tree height is good, because if you're lower than tree height or pylons that are nearby, basically they're already screwed anyway. They've already got bigger problems than you anyway. Typically, you know, an air ambulance though will land wherever it wants, so they're the number one to watch out for. Anyone else flying at tree level height is typically military. Yes, they do it. Yes, it's fun when it happens. I've had it with a spotter. We were flying FPV. I was flying a fixed wing. I was only about 300 metres out, and we had 3 military helicopters come across. They were literally hugging a tree line. My spotter warned me. I literally just went into circling lower and lower. I was circling below tree height, and I said, how high are they? He goes, oh, they're only about 50 feet above you, because they're just skimming the top of the trees as it is. And I'm just over a field, just doing low circles in FPV. And they wiped out the video signal. At one point, I couldn't see anything. I had no video, I had nothing. The transmitter still controlled the aircraft, but I absolutely had no signal, no OSD on the screen, nothing. For about 10-20 seconds until they flew past, they just disrupted everything. So this is why you have a spotter and you keep visual line of sight. So you can see these things, you take the avoiding action, okay? It's detect and avoid. Either your spotter detects it or you do. Simple. You then come back to your landing areas. You come back, you look around, you call landing, you land, you turn off your aircraft first, always your aircraft first, and then you turn off your controller, okay? And then you can look back at anything you've filmed, or you'll leave the aircraft on and you'll do the reviewing there and then. But otherwise, you'll just power down, you either have more flights or you go home, okay? And that's basically it for the A2CFC. There is no flight test for the A2CFC. However, an RAE may request proof of flight time. So they might want to see 4 hours or 8 hours flying, okay? And that you can get off the DJI app. You can supply it on an Excel spreadsheet to them. It doesn't have to, there's no preset format they want it. However, if you're going to do like an Excel spreadsheet for your flying, you should have a start time, an end time, and how long you was in the air for. Okay, that's what you should have, along with the date and location, of course. I always go by the DJI location. I don't go by map grid references because there's no need. Okay, and of course, if you're flying around, where you take off from, the area up there will be different anyway. So it's, you know, it's an interesting one with map grids. It's not needed, not even if you're a GVC operator. You don't need to put down the map grid you took off from. You can just say this location, and that's it. That's all you need. Right then, so that's it. That's all the way from help zips to plasma PCB. You know, doing your flight. That's it. And of course there is the risk assessment part. I've not done the risk assessment video, that's to come. There are airspace videos in the channel on how to check them if you're unsure, using that's drone assist, and what you can and cannot do in each area. So there are videos on that. They'll probably appear up there somewhere as well, if you need to check on that. But A2CFC, no flight test, like I say, it's just self-assessment, okay? You're just going to tick a few boxes to say you've done this. And it is good to practice emergency procedures. You know, practice a nice 45-degree descent, or even a spiral down. If you're in some places, a nice spiral down. If you've got the space, just do nice spirals down. Okay, that's quite a nice thing to practice. I quite like that because it means you get used to turning away. If you've got someone coming along and you're flying, instead of doing the 45, you can just turn away from them, which means your spotter can either intercept them and move them away, or as you're coming round, you can stay at height if you have to, let them go past and then come round again and down. So I do like circling down, although the 45-degree emergency descent, you've got to get down in a hurry. It's the best way. I don't really like coming in directly at 30 or 40 metres high and then just descending straight down. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather just come in and descend at an angle, and that way it just avoids a few issues. It used to be an issue where you get in warmer, in the summer, you can get the vortexes as heat rises, the air gets thin, and as you just descend, your aircraft could descend too quickly, and literally the ball of air it sits on becomes too thin and the aircraft literally falls through. But that's no longer really an issue because DJI limit your descent speed, and there's a reason why it's slow, and that's it. It stops you getting in this vortex issue, and yeah, it's interesting when it happens. If you do a 45-degree descent, it doesn't happen because you're moving forwards as well, so it avoids that vortex issue where if you're coming straight down and you're coming down at say 6 metres or 8 metres a second, and it's a hot day and you've got a lot of hot air rising that's thinner, and the aircraft can no longer support itself on the bubble of air, it literally sits on those props that the air's just too thin, and it's quite interesting. And it's something you can play with as well at times. Not that I recommend it, okay. But right, yeah, that's it. Basically, I'm waffling now, aren't I? I'll go and crack on, do something else. Right, later. Cheers.